Welcome back, guys. My name is Chris Patrick, and today we are on video number 2 of our multi-video series, and today's subject is research. Before you buy or commit to anything, I don't care what you think you know, please do your research first. And what I mean by research, it's kind of complicated, but I'm going to make it as simple as I can for you to understand. Go online and search a Google search. And with that search, just look to see what available local racetracks are in your area. You need to figure out, is there a track close enough that you can commit your time and your efforts into attending? Because if you don't have a track that's, let's say, within 2 hours away, and you don't want to drive that far, then you don't even have an option to race if you can't commit to that. But a lot of people are willing to travel 2+ hours to get to a track. Like myself, I travel about an hour and a half east to a place called The Barn. And it is in Waverly, Ohio, and it is where I race predominantly my dirt oval RC cars. There is a local track near me that does offer on-road carpet tracks. So I have multiple options if I want to stay local or if I want to go a little bit farther away and drive the vehicles that I have more passionate about, which is dirt oval. Then I choose to go that route. But the biggest thing is you have to figure out where to go. Once you figure out the location, I would suggest you go online and see if they have a Facebook group, or online when it comes to a web page. Typically, most racetracks, from what I've seen, they don't keep their updated rules and regulations on their web page, but they do on Facebook. So I would suggest you go check both of them out and look and see what classes they offer. See if it's a dirt oval track, or is it a dirt off-road track, or is it a carpet off-road track, or is it a carpet road track. That's all going to depend on what vehicles you even have the option to purchase. So if it limits your window from being this big down to about that big when it comes to options. So once you figure out the track is near you and you decide that, okay, it's a on-road carpet track and they offer a bunch of different chassis options, then you know, okay, now my window is this. I'm curious, so let's go to the track and talk to people. Talk to the track owner, introduce yourself, tell them that you're new and that you're just trying to get an idea, see what they suggest, and go from there. When it comes to what they provide you, their feedback, it is very important to listen, but also see what's going on the track. I don't want you to commit to, let's just say, this car at your local track if nobody races it. Just because they offer this class doesn't mean that it's the right choice for you, because you could spend all the money in the world and get a car, get to the track to find out you can't even compete because there's not enough cars in the class for you to race. So always check the track to make sure that they have enough attendance when it comes to that specific class that has caught your interest. So for example, if it's on-road carpet tracks, you typically have like a 12th scale, then you have a 10th scale pan car, then you have touring cars, and then you have a lot of tracks are starting to do Losi NASCARs, and there's also VTA. So let's just, like I said, if you use the Losi NASCAR and nobody near you runs that class, and if you've already bought this car, then unfortunately you've just wasted a lot of money and time trying to make this work when nobody else races that class with you. So that is probably the biggest takeaway that I can promise you, that it takes a little bit of time for you to figure out, and this is all part of the research, is figuring out what class fits your interest. That's your biggest one. Is you have to identify, like, okay, once you know that, okay, oval racing, you want to go oval racing and you decide that I want to run a sprint car. Well, that's a great option, especially in today's world, because Losi just released or or I should say about a year ago, a sprint car version that they are trying to keep a box stock class, and I can get into that later, but that is a very entry-level car to get into. Or you can decide to go into a full open sprint car. I don't suggest that as a new person, but let's just say the sprint car is the ideal option for you, because that piques your interest, and your local track that you're going to go to offers that track, and they have a decent amount of people showing up every week. And what I mean by a decent amount of people is like 5, 6, 7 cars or more per week, every week. And that's the biggest thing, is that way you have people that you can ask for help. That's one of the reasons why. And it helps pique your interest. So if it's piquing your interest, and you have fellow racers that are willing to give you advice and to help you learn as you start getting into the racing side of the world, when it comes to chassis setup changes and why my car does this, what do I need to do to fix it, those are all beneficial things that helps you become more successful on the racetrack later down the road. But the biggest thing is also, I would suggest find the rules for the class once you commit to something that you decided that it is that sprint car that you want to go and purchase. Before you buy anything, print off those rule book, read it. And once you read it, I would suggest you read it again. And the reason why I'm suggesting that is just because your track states, let's just say it's an open rule for motors, and then you decide no, or it's got a spec motor and you don't see it the first time, you may see it the second time that you read it. A lot of classes that are out there are either wide open or really closed. There's really no like middle ground from what I've noticed on almost all classes when it comes to how the rules and regulations are set up for that specific class. So, and that's, again, once you understand the rules, then you can start looking at the actual physical products and then start committing yourself into maybe making a purchase. But that's going to be a whole nother video. I just want to get our feet wet into understanding why the research is so important before you even make a single purchase. Comment down below. Let me know what research, for any of you experienced racers, what research would you suggest a new person do before they even purchase a single vehicle, or before they get a single foot at the track and introduce themselves and say, hi, my name is Chris and I'm interested in seeing what you have available for like sprint cars. I will tell you, 99.9% of the time, if you walk in with an open hands and just present yourself and say, hey, I'm new, this is my name, I'm just here to check things out, I would bet you money somebody would probably let you drive their car. That's how friendly the community is when it comes to new people like you trying to get into this hobby. I would let you drive one of my vehicles. If I knew that you was new and never made a single lap, I would hand you my remote and say, go have fun. And I would help you. I would turn, obviously, some settings and stuff down. That's a whole nother, like, again, rabbit hole. Not going to go down that path. But my point is, there should always be somebody that is willing to take you under the wings and try to help guide you to help you become more successful when it comes to getting into this world of RC racing. Because honestly, if we don't get the younger community involved, then unfortunately the hobby will eventually die out, because there's just it just part of it. We have to engage the younger community, which, by the way, spoiler alert, that's what this is for. So this is kind of gonna be the tutorial for this build series is the Losi Sprint, or sorry, the Losi NASCAR, and this is for my son. He is 10 and a half years old, and this is going to be his first RC car for racing. He has a bashing Traxxas Slash, but my advice, research, research, and research. You cannot do enough research. And the research, like I said, it's a lot of legwork, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of trying to figure out, a lot of the logistical side of things, because every person's different. I can't promise you that you're going to have the option to even race. And unfortunately, some places you may live in an area where there just isn't no tracks. And unfortunately, there's nothing you can do about it unless you are willing to travel a really, really far distance or create a track yourself and go down that rabbit hole, which I encourage you if that's what you want to do. Anyhow, I'm rambling. I'm going to wrap this video up. I'm trying to keep these somewhat short, but some of these become really long. Later, guys.